Being 7 o'clock, I'll call the Ossipee Town Planning Board meeting on November 20th to order. Please rise and say the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Steve McConerty.
Yeah.
Rick St. Jean absent. Martha Eldridge
Yes.
absent. Tim Otterbach absent. Peter Zavas absent. Dennis will be absent. Roy Barron
I think so.
and Condict Billings.
Here.
That leaves two of you.
We have a young lady in the audience tonight. She can stand up and introduce herself and explain what she's doing.
My name is Emily Shealy.
Will you speak up, please?
My name is Emily Shealy. I'm a second-year student at Plymouth State, and I'm doing a planning board report because I'm in a community planning class. And yeah, I'm just here to observe and see the discussions that goes on, and then write a report.
Also online.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other public input? If none, we'll skip the minute meeting, the financial. Can't vote on them.
I'll skip that too, I think.
Can't hear the case out.
We can hear the case, but we cannot vote on it.
Everything's informal tonight.
So it'll be an informal discussion on everything. Mark, you're up.
Good evening, folks. I'm here this evening on behalf of 760 White Mountain Highway LLC, tax map 250, parcel number 5. You will recognize, perhaps more readily recognizable as the lot that has the Top Cat car wash presently located on it. My client wanted to do something with the remainder of the parcel, and recognizing that housing is primary concern in this area, we are looking to do a condominium, residential condominium, 44 units, and a layout consisting of 22 duplexes. The property supports it. You can see the upper left-hand corner of the sheet, the plan sheet that I've just handed out. You have your soil summary, density calculation, loading calculation. By our calculations, the parcel can support an additional 50 two-bedroom units. We're proposing 44 on the 29-acre parcel. The units will provide an opportunity for affordable home ownership. There's been a lot of talk locally about the need for affordable housing as rental units. The fact of the matter is there are a lot of people. I'll use my wife as an example. She moved to the area 30 years ago. She rented. There was nothing available in her economic stratum that would allow her to get a loan from a bank, a mortgage from a bank, and begin home ownership. That's the niche that we're looking to fill here. These units are 1,100 square feet, 2-story, 1,100 square feet, not including the full cellars. 2-bedroom, bath and a half units. Each unit will have a 1-car attached garage with adequate parking for a second vehicle or even a third and fourth vehicle, each with their own driveway. The intent is to phase the project with the first 6 buildings right here culminating in a cul-de-sac in the north central portion of the parcel. What we are trying to do here is provide that affordable home ownership opportunity that in turn should free up apartments for rental for more affordable housing. This is a niche that we're trying to fill. My wife Mary's niche, we'll call it. The parcel, as I've stated, can support more units than this, but this is what we're shooting for. It'll be a condominium. The units and garages will be owned fee simple. The remainder of the land will be open space, common open space. There are 2 existing units, commercial unit number 1, which is the car wash, commercial unit number 2, which is, well, it's retail space. Presently it's a hardscape shop, a store. They're selling paving bricks, paving stones and the like. There's an existing DOT-approved pair of driveways. We're not going to change either of the driveways. We're leaving them in the same location, the same geometry, but we're bifurcating the northerly driveway from the commercial uses. This is the way that we felt would be best to separate the residential traffic from the commercial traffic. As you can see, the layout is intended to be very compact, low impact development, and each unit will have its own septic tank. And you can see down in the legend, everything's labeled on your reduced scale there. Each unit will have its own septic tank. We found over the years that this is the best way to do it. We could have each duplex go into one septic tank, but then there can be problems down the road. Well, I don't use my unit as much as you use yours, but you're charging me half of the pumping cost. So each unit will have their own septic tank. Each duplex will share an effluent disposal area, and then there will be 1 well per 4 units. So we're looking at, 11 wells and 22 effluent disposal areas. The paved area shown in gray here, that is going to be a driveway. It's not going to be a road, but it will be designed and built to Town of Ossepee's road standards for the amount of traffic that it is anticipated to have. It's a couple of thousand feet long.
Oh, they have to meet the bulk of codes then.
Pardon me?
They'll have to meet the bulk of codes.
Bulka?
Yeah, fire codes, bulk and stuff.
Correct, yes, thank you. I wasn't going to get into that level of detail, but thank you, we'll be certain to.
Well, I got brothers do it for a living, I do it on and off, so
There you go.
stuff comes to mind right away.
Mhm. I have consulted with Steve in a generic manner regarding building separation, and where we far exceed the minimum structure separation. Again, it's very compact. You can see the area highlighted in green here. There's a lot of area there that won't be touched, doesn't need to be touched, in fact. And we hope that it will foment a neighborhood setting. We'll see. Now, I mentioned going to start out with a single phase, and that is to proof the market. We believe that the market's there. Till we build, we're not sure. The project will disturb somewhere between 300 and 400,000 square feet of ground surface. it will require alteration of terrain permit. So even though this first phase might be under the threshold needed for an AOT, it still needs to be designed for ultimate alteration of terrain program review. The calculations that resulted in the number of units allowable, we've subtracted the existing car wash, well radii, all of the radii for each of the wells for the residential component. And we believe that this is not only a necessary and doable project, but in this part of Ossipee, needed.
Yeah, you said these are rentals,
Now, these will be condominium units, Roy.
so they will be buying them.
Correct.
So will they have an association to maintain the leach fields and stuff?
Yes, sir.
Because you've got, like, one leach field for several places, and you got one well for 4 places.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
So that could be a nightmare if you sell them, you know?
If I sell them, if the developer sells them, or resale, are you thinking?
Either one of them, that's what I'm thinking, down the road.
It's not an unusual ownership structure.
I didn't say it was, it's really not my problem, I just kind of thought I'd mention that, kind of curious
Thank you.
things, you know?
Mhm.
Because I know I wouldn't want to have to share a well with 4 people, well, Pat wouldn't want, but the leach field stuff would.
Mhm.
Because somebody, you know, all the associations, somebody don't want to pay for roads, somebody want to pay for repairs.
Mhm.
It causes a problem.
Human nature. We can't predict it. We can only hope that going in, when someone wants to purchase a unit, they're doing their due diligence and they understand that there will be association dues, be they monthly, annual, to maintain the infrastructure. Now, as to rental, I'm not here and suggesting that you come along and buy one of these units. You, Roy, buy a unit, and then you rent it. It's not for me to decide. But these will be owned fee simple.
No way to rent anything. Nobody likes to pay for rent, nobody takes care of rent.
But again, we're looking for that niche, the people that can afford a mortgage, a low-cost mortgage, and would prefer that to paying rent, paying a mortgage rather than paying rent.
It's none of my business, but I'm curious, what are these going to be worth approximately?
That I don't know.
What, are you gonna go into, are you gonna go into section 8?
No, not to my knowledge.
It will not be a section 8.
I'm not even sure what Section 8 is. I think it has something to do with subsidized housing.
Right,
Not to my knowledge. My client hasn't
Right.
mentioned that.
like Ossipee Village, down the end of 25.
Okay,
That's section 8,
correct. And I think you'll find that those are all rental.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was one of my projects also, and that's come out very well, by the way. Very happy with that. No, this is not that type of ownership.
And how far are you from the wetlands in Frenchman's Brook?
The plan is at 60 scale, so we are almost 400 feet off of the Frenchman Brook associated wetland. And over here, probably 100 feet with the buildings. There is also a setback for septic systems, which we have respected right along there. All Class A soil, well drained, very well drained.
Have you thought of going in front of the Conservation Committee with this?
None.
Doesn't have to.
No, he doesn't have to, but they will protest it because they protested the water.
Legal's legal, if it's not, it's not, that's all. Protest all they want.
They are very concerned about the water in the car wash.
Okay.
So,
Car wash is behind us though,
I
Connie.
understand that.
Okay.
but then you're adding more.
Well,
And Frenchman's Brook is very contaminated now.
it's mostly salt problems down here, though.
Right.
Leach field don't make no difference to that.
We're proposing nothing here that requires any variance or any waiver. This is a clean project. Housing is needed. I think it will be welcomed. If the Conservation Commission has concerns, of course,
they'll-
we will address them. We'd be
They'll bring
happy
it
to.
up. It was the old Conservation Committee, not the new one that, the new one is more easygoing.
I must say, I work in all the towns in Carroll County on occasion, and it takes all kinds. I recognize that. I like to work with all kinds.
Our conservation man is not here tonight, so.
And speaking of that, Roy, I've walked the property, I know the property pretty well. I'm not aware of any old graveyards on or adjacent to.
I'm not aware of any either.
Okay. Good. I'm sure
No,
we'll
there
take care of
wasn't.
that.
There wasn't one, gosh, I can't think of his name now. Murray. When Mr. Murray owned that,
Maybe.
was it
Maybe.
Mary.
Mary? John Murray.
Yes.
No,
None that we know about.
no.
Okay.
John knew that property right, every inch of it. And when I was cemetery trustee, I talked to him, and he said, no, there's nothing there. So,
There you have it. I just wanted to make this a courtesy call this evening. We are moving forward.
We appreciate it.
Scoping meeting is being scheduled at DOT. This is a change of use, clearly a change of use. We don't know yet, but there could be a deceleration lane. There might be a center shared turn lane. There's a lot of commercial activity on the other side of Route 16. And the DOT has indicated in the past that they want to look at this stretch of the highway and take into consideration anything that happens here in conjunction with what's happening on the other side.
you'll have to
I'm not
renew
a
it.
traffic engineer, but I don't think I need to be to predict that a center shared turn lane might be required.
Will you have to renew your driveway permit?
Yes, indeed, yes. There's no question about that, Colin.
Yeah, well, they're already there, you shouldn't have too many problems.
It's the change of use that
Change of
triggers
use.
it.
The change use might be the headache, but I don't think it'd be a big problem. I could be wrong, though. A nice looking project.
Well, Mark, we
Thank you.
await your formal submission.
Very good.
And
Thank you,
hopefully
everyone.
we have a full board at that time.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
your
Mark.
patience.
You have,
Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
Sorry, the audience wasn't bigger.
Bigger than Ford.
you guys got any questions? Ash? I meant to call on you guys.
Mr. Chair, I did have a few questions.
Yes,
You mentioned that it didn't say on the agenda what or who the developer was. I just was curious. The name of the-
760 White Mountain Highway LLC. Managing partner, William Benedetto.
Second question is, in each town, there's a workforce housing overlay. Would this be dense enough to add to their percentage of needed workforce housing so they could, would it be enough?
I suppose it could be, Ed, but that's not the intent. We're looking at a different section of the population than workforce housing.
Well, even the accessory dwelling units, if you have so many in town, that can go towards the percentage of the amount of workforce housing. for the requirement. So I was just wondering, would this help that situation?
I haven't looked at it. I'd rather be right up front and say that I don't know. I suspect that it would, but I don't know for certain without a little bit of research, which I will do before coming back.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Ash.
Actually, another thing I would consider, while the town approved the tax abatement for commercial properties this past spring, it might be wise to look into the economic revitalization zone and what the state's rules and RSAs are in regards to housing. I don't know where that applies, but that is an economic revitalization zone in our town, which could possibly lead to some sort of incentive to that LLC. Just so you know, just an FYI.
We are aware, and I believe that the zone extends to the limit of the commercial district, the overlay district that you're speaking of.
Yeah.
And that's right here, Ash.
Yeah.
I'll take that back to the developer. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Again, thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Again.
Unsatisfactory conditions, we can't do anything. Unfinished business, no.
Unfinished business is this. Yep.
We can't do it. That takes a vote.
You can acknowledge receipt.
We can acknowledge the receipt from Ossipee Granite Recovery LLC from the State of New Hampshire Department of Transportation that they have submitted to us their driveway permit, which was one of the requirements that they had to meet. We also have several others that are, there's 4 total that we cannot act on because we do not have a quorum. As far as case number 18-3, property line adjustment, Paul and Pamela McCarthy and Ralph and S. Oregano of 18 and 6 Mount Shaw Road, tax map 110, lot 25 and 26 are requesting a boundary line adjustment and 4 waivers of 8.010, 8.012, 8.01N, and 8.01L. I'm afraid we're going to have to postpone this because we do not have a quorum, and you need a quorum to pass it. If you want to present it, that's fine.
We can kick it around if you like.
That's fine.
All right. For the record, my name is Ted Wright. I'm a land surveyor. I work for Norway Plains Associates in Rochester.
Yeah.
And this is a small boundary line adjustment that we're looking to do. The McCarthys built a garage, and somebody came out to certify the foundation for the garage, and it was discovered that it appeared to be in the setback. So we were hired, and we conducted a survey of the property and the neighboring property and found that the garage was actually over the property line. So here we are. This won't affect anything. There's no plan to develop this any further. It's just because of that oversight that we came up with this concept to make sure that it fit.
You've actually had a bunch in the last 2 years, I think.
Will you meet the setbacks now with the new lines?
It will.
It will.
It will. We made it so that it would fit the property lines. And there's a gas tank there. We made sure that fit the setbacks for code.
Is this part of Blueberry Estates?
What did you say?
Blueberry Estates, is this part of Blueberry? No.
No,
You
it's
are not on-
Rainbow Ridge.
You're on the other side.
Yeah, we're in Rainbow Ridge.
And that is that an association? We will need,
Yeah. Stop.
go ahead, sir.
They gave us a letter approving the garage where it was. They didn't have a problem with it. However, since the corner of the garage was more into our neighbor, we decided that we needed to have something more formal done, and the neighbor, Nan, is in favor of that whole thing. She didn't have a problem. It's mostly tree and rock in that area where they were. They misjudged. They thought the property went straight back, but it actually goes at an angle. And they
They're
missed it.
famous for that.
And they missed it measuring, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the subdivisions are at an angle.
Right.
You
These
made
are
it
all
either.
like at a pie shape, so they all go at an angle.
Do they need a letter from the association?
Yes. You will need a letter from the
You
association.
have one. There's one in the packet.
There's one in your packet. In your packet that was mailed to you.
I never got one in the mail. I didn't get one. It didn't come. I didn't get it. I told you, I
So
don't
did
get
you
my mail.
talk to
I'm
the
expecting
office?
something else in there, like showed up either. People are worried about it.
Or can I see that? Trying to find mine. Thank you. Oh, okay, I remember.
Can I borrow that a second? Thank you.
I would say that
Yeah, they're all set. Guess we can't approve it tonight.
I know.
Any other
I'm
questions?
sorry about that.
We've been trying for a year and a half to get this straightened out. It's just been,
Hopefully,
it's a nightmare.
it's a heartburn, yeah.
hopefully the first Tuesday of next month you can come back in and we can get this done.
We
and
will,
people
I
be
will
here.
continue the case until next,
Appreciate that.
Can't vote on it, we'll have to continue.
Nothing
no,
else.
I can continue it.
Hmm.
Can you continue without a vote?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yes. And that would be December 4th.
So does that mean the abutters would have to have
No,
another
no.
certified mail saying that,
No.
no? Okay,
No, because we continued it.
We,
okay.
if we,
It's being continued to a date certain, so you don't, the abutters do not have to be re-notified.
Okay, thank you.
But you will
it
need to
is
make the next
December
meeting.
4th,
Oh, we
correct?
will. Definitely. Don't have a problem with that.
Are there any other questions that you might have that I
You
can
will,
answer?
you will
None that I
be,
can think of right now. Does, you got any more questions, Tom?
you will be paying all the new corners. et cetera.
That's correct. There's just two.
Those two, and the front one is pegged already.
That's what, we found it there. And we ended up surveying all the way out to the outer boundary of the property. And that turned out to be where it was supposed to be.
That's the only one that had a rebar in it, and the rest had a pipe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who knows? I'm
Wow.
telling back in the 70s, they were using anything they could get their hands on.
I actually love to do a subdivision at an angle. Every one that I've ever worked on.
Yeah, every one of those on that side are.
I know where a guy did the same thing. He built a garage, and he said, no, I'm not over the line. I proved to him,
Yeah.
and he still doesn't believe me.
Yeah. Well, we did our due diligence, trying to
Yeah.
be there and let them know, where the property lines were that we were aware of from our deed. But it's just tipped just enough, when they moved it forward, it's just enough that it was too far over.
It's difficult with these long lots.
Yeah.
I don't really have an idea.
I cut wood for a living. I've seen some crazy boundary lines.
Yeah.
and zagged everything,
Yeah,
You just don't know what you're gonna find.
I know.
I have found one that he did, and I found the original wooden pegs, and the guy still wouldn't believe me.
Wow.
As long as his neighbor don't complain, what the heck?
Yeah. Well, you got any other questions? I don't.
I don't have any
mean,
more
I
questions. I think they're all set. We got the
think you're
letter.
all set. It's just,
We just can't do anything. We apologize for that.
Okay, we understand.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
We thank you
Rest
for
of the
coming.
meeting, can sit here and discuss it.
Yeah, we can't even stop the meeting tonight because we can't vote it out.
Unanimous.
Could you give me the date again when it was
December 4th.
4th? Thank you.
Any questions, just call Laura later, she'll know.
Yeah.
Steve, would you like to discuss any of your, or do you want to wait until we have a quorum?
I'd rather wait.
So wouldn't I. So we just have to go over it again.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all for coming in. Be safe going back out. Have a great Thanksgiving, too.
Thank you, too.
Thank you.
I don't see where we can do anything else tonight, can we? Oh, yes. I would like to, Dennis Legendre, one of our members, lost his wife over the weekend to cancer. And I'd like permission, and I can give it, but to do something for Dennis from the board itself. I've asked Laura to talk to Ellen tomorrow and see what they can do, whether it's flowers or food or what. And she will discuss it, and the expenditure will be okay next month.
Most definitely.
Is that all right with
We
you?
gotta get a card right up too from the board.
I don't think we need approval on it.
We'll just do it.
Do it and have the expense.
And if it gets,
And
people get upset about it, I'll chip in on it, that's all.
that's all. I'll go around the table and say, you, and you. And I guess, Mr. Steve, you can go home to your wife.
Maybe so.
If you can get up the hill.
No, I'm getting up that hill.
That's so
So I
slippery.
call this informal meeting to a close. Thank you.